Imagine being 15 years old and every single move you make is compared to the greatest golfer who ever lived. Now imagine being 15 and nobody knows your name, but you're quietly shattering records that stood for decades. To teenagers. Two completely different worlds. One has cameras following his every step, million-dollar sponsorships waiting, and a last name that opens every door in golf. The other? He's fighting for every single opportunity, breaking barriers nobody thought possible, and doing it in complete silence. The golf world wants you to believe this is just about talent. But what we've uncovered goes so much deeper. This is about privilege versus hunger, legacy versus ambition, the chosen one versus the forgotten one, and the brutal truth we're about to expose will make you question everything you thought you knew about fairness in professional sports. Before we dive into this controversy, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're bringing you the stories the mainstream media won't touch. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Let's talk about Charlie Woods. And before anyone starts typing angry comments, this isn't about tearing down a kid. This is about reality. Charlie was born on February 8, 2009, and from that exact moment, his entire life was mapped out. Not by choice, not by him, but by a machine. The son of Tiger Woods doesn't get to just be a teenager who likes golf. He gets to be a brand, a storyline, a ratings goldmine before he even understands what any of that means. Watch any junior tournament Charlie enters. Count the cameras. Count the credential holders. Count the articles written before he even tees. Off. He shot 86 at a pre-qualifier. 86, and it made international headlines. Do you understand how insane that is? Thousands of junior golfers shoot better scores every single weekend in complete anonymity. But Charlie's 86 becomes a news cycle because of 6 letters in his last name. Here's what nobody wants to say out loud. Charlie is good. He's talented. He's got a swing that's been molded by the best coaches money can buy and a father who rewrote the record books. But remove the name on his golf bag, and does Charlie Woods get invitations to play with professional athletes at exclusive tournaments? Does he get Nike endorsements dangling before he turns 16? Does he get to partner with his dad at the PNC Championship on national television year after year? We all know the answer. And that's not Charlie's fault. He didn't ask for this. But it's a reality we need to acknowledge. Because on the other side of this story is a kid who represents everything Charlie's experience. ISN single quotes. Miles Russell. Remember that name if you don't already know it, because you're going to be hearing it for the next 20 years? Born November 14th, 2007, Miles is actually older than Charlie by about 15 months. But here's the kicker. Charlie was learning golf at exclusive clubs with Tiger as his personal instructor. Miles was grinding at public courses in Florida, carrying his own bag, fighting for every ounce of recognition. April 2024. Miles. Russell becomes the youngest player ever to make a cut on a major professional tour. He was 16 years, 4 months, and 16 days old when he made the cut at the Korn Ferry Tour's Lecom Suncoast Classic. Now let that sink in. Not a junior tour, not an amateur exhibition, a professional tour where grown men who've dedicated their entire lives to golf are competing for money and careers. The record he broke, it stood for 35 years, set by a guy named Bob May back in 1989. For more than 3 decades, that record was untouchable. And Miles didn't just squeak by. He finished tied for 20th place. At 16 years old, he outplayed professionals who've been on tour longer than he's been alive. But here's the part that should make you angry. When Miles accomplished this historic feat, this record-shattering moment that should have been plastered across every sports network, the coverage was minimal. A few golf websites picked it up. Some regional sports shows mentioned it. But compared to the media circus that follows, Charlie to junior tournaments was crickets. This is the brutal truth nobody's talking about. We've created a system in professional golf where legacy matters more than achievement, where potential matters more than results, where the story we want to tell overshadows the story that's actually happening. Charlie Woods has played in the PNC Championship multiple times alongside Tiger. It's a television event. It's adorable. Father and son in matching outfits, Tiger teaching Charlie, creating memories, beautiful content. But it's also something Miles Russell will never have. Not because his father doesn't love him or support him, but because his father isn't Tiger Woods. Miles doesn't get those opportunities. He doesn't get that platform. He has to create his own, and create he has. Beyond the Korn Ferry Cut, Miles has been dominating junior golf in ways that don't get enough attention. He won the 2023 Rolex Tournament of Champions. He's competed in USGA championships. He's built a resume that would make most college golfers jealous. And he's doing it while still being too young to get a driver's license in some states. Let's talk about pressure, because this is where the narratives get really twisted. Everyone wants to talk about the pressure on Charlie Woods. And yes, being Tiger's son comes with enormous pressure. Every shot is analyzed. Every tournament is a referendum on whether he's living up to the Woods name. That's genuinely difficult. And we shouldn't minimize it. But consider Miles Russell's pressure. He's carrying the weight of being the first, the youngest, the record breaker. And he's doing it without the safety net Charlie has. Charlie has a bad tournament. He goes back to a mansion with the greatest golfer of all time to coach him. Through it, he's got resources, support, and a future that's relatively secure regardless of his golf performance. If Miles has a bad tournament, he's fighting to keep sponsors interested, to keep earning invitations, to prove that his record-breaking moment wasn't a fluke. Miles can't afford to be just good. He has to be exceptional. Every single time. The media loves an underdog story until that underdog actually starts winning. Then suddenly we get uncomfortable. Start creating narratives that protect our preferred storylines. Watch how golf coverage treats these two athletes. Charlie gets humanized. We hear about his personality, his relationship with his dad, his journey. He's a character in a story we're all emotionally invested in because we love Tiger. Miles gets stats. Miles gets records. Miles gets clinical analysis of his swing and his scores. But does he get the same human interest pieces? Does he get the same depth of coverage exploring who he is beyond the scorecard? This isn't about making Charlie the villain. He's a 15-year-old kid who's actually handled the insanity of his situation with remarkable maturity. This is about a system that decides who deserves attention, who deserves opportunities, who deserves to be called a prodigy based on factors that have nothing to do with actual performance. Here's a thought experiment. Swap their names. Give Miles Russell the last name Woods, and give Charlie the last name Russell. Everything else stays the same. Their skills, their scores, their achievements. Who's getting the Nike contracts now? Is playing in the PNC Championship. Who's being called the next great thing in golf? We already know the answer. And that's the problem. Both of these young men have incredible talent. Both of them have worked hard. Both of them deserve success. But only one of them is getting a golden path rolled out in front of him. And only one of them is having to build his own path. One record-breaking performance at a time. The question isn't who's better. They're both exceptional in different ways, at different stages, facing different circumstances. The question is why we're so comfortable with this disparity. Why we accept that talent plus a famous name equals opportunity. But talent alone means you have to be historically great just to get noticed. Miles Russell is currently ranked as one of the top junior golfers in the world. He's won events against elite competition. He's made professional cuts. He's doing things that should make him a household name. But ask a casual golf fan who Charlie Woods is, and they'll know. Ask them about Miles Russell, and you'll get blank stares. That's not an accident. That's a choice. A choice made by media companies chasing ratings, by sponsors chasing brand recognition, by an industry that's more comfortable selling nostalgia and legacy than celebrating pure merit. What happens next is what makes this story even more compelling. Both Charlie and Miles are approaching the age where they'll need to make decisions about their golf futures, college or professional, stay amateur or turn pro, continue developing, or throw themselves into the deep end. Charlie will make that decision surrounded by advisors, agents, and opportunities. Whatever he chooses, he'll have support. Miles will make that decision knowing that every choice is a risk, every path is uncertain, and his margin for error is razor-thin. In a fair world, both of these athletes would get equal opportunities. To prove themselves, they'd get equal media coverage, equal chances to compete at high levels, equal consideration for sponsorships and endorsements based solely on their performance and potential. But we don't live in that world. We live in a world where Charlie Woods can shoot 86 and get more headlines than Miles Russell breaking a 35-year-old record, where one teenager's average performance matters more than another teenager's historic achievement. The golf community needs to reckon with this. We need to ask ourselves hard questions about what we value and why. Are we celebrating actual excellence? Or are we just celebrating familiar stories? Are we giving opportunities to the most deserving or to the most marketable? Because here's the thing that should terrify everyone who cares about the integrity of this sport. Right now, somewhere out there, there's another Miles Russell. Another phenomenally talented kid without a famous last name, grinding away in obscurity, breaking records that nobody's paying attention to, fighting for opportunities that others get handed to them at birth, and we're missing it. We're so busy, following the pre-written storyline, so invested in the narrative we want to be true, that we're completely overlooking the actual greatness happening right in front of us. Charlie Woods might become a great professional golfer. He's got every advantage, every resource, every opportunity to make it happen. And if he does, we should celebrate that achievement for what it is. But Miles Russell is already proving he belongs on professional courses, already rewriting record books, already showing a level of skill and mental toughness that most athletes never develop. And he's doing it the hardest way possible by earning every single inch of recognition. So here's the brutal truth that nobody wants to say. We don't just have a privilege problem in golf. We have an attention problem, a recognition problem, a fundamental unfairness in how we decide who deserves to be called a prodigy and who has to prove they're historically exceptional. Just to get noticed, both of these young men are writing their own stories. Both of them will face challenges and triumphs we can't predict. But only one of them is writing his story with the world watching, while the other is writing his in the margins, hoping someone eventually pays attention. The question isn't who's better. The question is whether we're capable of recognizing greatness when it doesn't come with a famous last name attached. And based on how this story has played out so far, I'm not sure we have a good answer to that question.